Okay, tonight we're talking about the sugar blues, right? Uh, Probably one of the most difficult things to correct in a person's body chemistry is what we call a sugar problem. One of the main things I look at when I look at a person's evaluation and their numbers is for how that body's handling the sugar. Because you have so many different symptoms that happen because of sugar fluctuations. And it's just some of them. Let me just kind of go through some of the symptoms that people have when they have sugar problems, and then we'll talk about what causes it, and then some things that we can do in our lifestyle to help prevent it, or if it's a problem already, how to help the body overcome it. Remember, we don't heal anything, do we? All right? Yeah, we prevent it, but we don't cure anything, do we? You ever heard of curing a disease? How many of you have ever cured diabetes? Have they ever cured diabetes?
Treat it.
So it cures, the only thing we can cure is a ham. Always remember that. Ham's the only thing you can cure. So we're not going to show you tonight how to cure our diabetes or hypoglycemia or anything like that, okay? The body's the healer. The creator of this body is the healer. And no one else gets any credit, including vitamins and minerals. Okay? So we're looking at ways that we can help our body and also ways that we can quit interfering with our body in that healing process. So what are some of the symptoms of sugar problems? Well, one of them is low blood sugar. We have low blood sugar, which means that, first let me explain how the body regulates the sugar. The sugar in your blood must stay within a certain range. Your blood, in fact, has to have a certain pH, which is acid-alkaline balance. It has to have a certain calcium-potassium balance. All right? And it has to have a certain sugar balance. If too much sugar gets in your blood, then the blood gets thick and it interferes with the oxygen, and the oxygen can't get to the brain, so you have a coma. You go into a coma and could die. If not enough sugar is in your blood, it goes too low, and so then your body goes into a coma and you die. A lot of the same symptoms for low blood sugar, they're the same as the high. So you can have a lot of symptoms that are low so sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's high or low. But a low blood sugar, if it's the sugar in your blood's going kind of like this and then suddenly drops really low, that's where your epileptic seizures are. Now some don't go down suddenly and they don't go into a big jerk. Why is the body jerking when you have an epileptic seizure? What's it trying to do? It's trying to get some sugar out of the blood, or get some sugar into the blood from your muscles. So it's shaking to get some sugar into the blood because the pancreas overshot the insulin. It made the sugar go too low. So the pancreas wasn't doing its job. The pancreas is supposed to keep the sugar from going high by producing insulin, which reacts with excess sugar in your blood to keep it where it's supposed to be. Then your adrenals have the job of keeping the sugar from going too low. So the adrenals produce an anti-insulin type substance that cancels the insulin so that the sugar won't go too low in the blood. Together they're supposed to keep it just right. See, so you could have a pancreas problem or you could have an adrenal problem. Either one of them is going to result in a sugar problem. Now, if the sugar just kind of goes down slower, not just suddenly, then you might just get a little shaky. Or sometimes the heart starts palpitating. A lot of people get diagnosed with heart palpitations, and they think something's wrong with the heart. When all it is the sugar's going too low and the body's speeding up everything, including the heart rate, in order to get moving more, to get more sugar from the muscles into the blood. So a lot of people have that little kind of feeling like, they're nervous, or they feel like their heart's pumping too hard, or something's beating too fast, okay? So that's some of the, of course you got on the low side, you've got your cravings like crazy. You've got feeling cold hands, cold feet, low blood pressure, low temperature. Those are parts of the low blood sugar because there's not enough calories to keep your body going. And you can't keep that temperature up when the sugar goes low. So your 98 degrees is what your temperature should be. If there's not enough sugar in your blood, then the body has to let the temperature go down a little bit. So we got a lot of circulation problems and a lot of yeast problems and things like that take place because of low blood sugar that leads to cold temperature and some of these other symptoms. You can go into a room and forget why you went in there because the sugar went down on you. All right? Aren't you glad that's all it is? Doesn't make it any easier, does it? But you can forget a name just suddenly, what is that? So see, when the sugar goes too low, you don't get enough oxygen in your brain, your computer shuts down on you. All right? So that's again a sugar problem, carbohydrate problem. It's a regulation of the sugar problem. Now you get up into the higher ranges, not way up high. When it goes way up high, of course, you just can't get any oxygen to the brain, and so you go unconscious. Again, the body's doing that to try to work on things while you're unconscious. But if it gets too high of sugar in the blood, there just can't pick up enough oxygen, and too much sugar to your brain just shuts everything down. All right? Because your oxygen is what we've got. We've got to have that coming to the brain, or the computer just don't do its job. So, but we got a lot of ranges up there that are not high, but they're up there around 5 to 6 or 7 when I test your carbos. When it's up around that range is where, if it's fluctuating, is where we have our schizophrenics. People where it's up here kind of high and it suddenly drops, not way down, but just drops a little bit. And people can just change their personality. They just either mean when they're usually just happy-go-lucky, or they're mean, now they're happy-go-lucky. If you're lucky, you'll get one that way, But if it's going around like this, what's happening is it's causing a fluctuation in the amount of oxygen to the brain, and so it changes the outlook of things as far as that person. It's pretty scary. This is also where you have, of a lesser degree, mood swings. You ever know any moody people? Just get kind of moody once in a while. That's a fluctuation in the sugar in that upper range there. Okay? In that upper range, you got a lot of alcoholics who don't drink alcohol. Because when that sugar's fluctuating in that higher range and their body is in an acid condition, it turns that sugar to alcohol, so they're drunk all the time. This is where you're getting a lot of your Epstein-Barr and fatigue syndrome people. And that's what it's due to. Their body's producing too much alcohol. So they're drunk all the time. You get too much alcohol to your brain, what's going to happen? Some of you probably know people that after they eat, you You probably know people like that, right? You know? What's happening? Your sugar's turning to alcohol. See, it's too high, and it's fluctuating, and when it fluctuates, then that sugar turns to alcohol under certain conditions, especially if you have a lot of yeast problems. Again, not enough oxygen is when that happens. Okay? So, now if it's high, you can be tired, or if it's low, you can be tired. Sometimes when the sugar runs low, you can be hyper. You're just nervous. Nervous as a cat, you know? Just, you know, you just get, you know, just little noises and stuff like that just make you shudder. Too much loud music or something like that. You're just on pins and needles. Don't look at me wrong. Type of. It's one of the advantages of being high if it's not fluctuating too high. When the sugar's high, I don't care. You know, you're just passive. You know, okay, if you want to do that, that's all right. Well, why don't you make a decision? Well, I don't know. If you want to do it, you can do it. You know, what's you all upset about? You know, you're just hanging loose as a goose. But when that low blood sugar get around a person like that, you just, you know, just don't have enough sugar. You're just hyper. You're just irritated. You get a bunch of kids that way when they get the wrong stuff. All right? I can tell you know some people like that. Okay. You might have been one of those persons at one time. Who knows, you know? So that is a real situation. And any of those things can be kind of scary when you don't know what's going on. So see, you can begin to see a lot of problems that people have. Immune system breaks down when the sugar is going too low. That's one of the indications that your sugar, or that your immune system is fatigued, is when your sugar is on the low side. Okay? So a weak immune system is all involved in that. So I don't know if too many, you know, one of them, it is the most serious and most difficult area to work on with people, and that's what I work on mostly with people, is getting that, helping them get a lifestyle that will balance that out. See, and it's not easy, because the more I say for you to do, the worse the symptoms are sometimes. And you'll begin to see why when we talk about some more of the causes, okay? So that's kind of what we're dealing with. So you probably know people, or you can identify with any one of those types of situations. Now, here's another scenario. Some people wake up in the morning with low blood sugar. By the end of the day, it's high. Now, if the sugar kind of stays kind of steady, either low or high, but it doesn't fluctuate a lot, you usually don't have any symptoms. It's when it's fluctuating. You're kind of moving around on you. All right, that's when you're having the symptoms. Some people start out low, so they wake up with, you know, they're ready to go, you know, usually, you know, if it's not too low. Then by the end of the day, they're sleepy. They can't keep their eyes open because the sugar's moving up, turning alcohol on its way, see? All right? So some people go up and down like this all the way up, then they have more symptoms, but otherwise you start out low. Some people start out high in the morning, and you need dynamite to get them going. They're just sleepy. They just can't wake up. Give me my cup of coffee. See? Give me soda pop even. Why do you need a cup of coffee? What does a cup of coffee do? It neutralizes alcohol. All right? So if you're getting drunk, then I get you going. That's why people need coffee, or chocolate, or soda pops, or Lipton tea. All of those have one thing in common. They all have caffeine. And so when your body's tending to turn your sugar to alcohol because it's fluctuating on you, then you're going to be one of those addicted people to those things. All right. So, so sometimes people get tired by the end of the day, or some people are tired at the beginning of the day. By the end of the day, about 3 o'clock, they're ready to go until midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning. Everything's backwards, See, that's a sugar problem. That's a carbohydrate. That's the inability of the body to keep things in balance as it relates to the use of sugar and stuff like that. Now, when we talk about sugar problems, we're not talking about just sugar. People don't realize that all your breads, cereals, grains, potatoes, beans, fruits, all produce sugar. Your body has to take all your starches and turn them to sugar before it can use them. So it's not just eating a piece of candy or cake or Snickers or something like that that could trigger a sugar fluctuation. All right? It could be any one of these things that you have in your diet that could trigger it. All right, so that's one of the things that we've got to look at is what is the carbo that your body's having problems dealing with. Because if it doesn't. Now another cause, getting into causes of sugar fluctuations, some people don't chew their foods long enough for the carbohydrates to be digested up here in the mouth. All your carbohydrates are digested up here, not down in your stomach. So you eat that bread, see, that's going to cause the pancreas a problem because, first of all, you didn't chew it long enough for the brain to analyze it to tell the body what it needs to do with it. But when you eat a potato, it should be sweet before you let it out of your mouth, without the gravy or salt. So it should be converted up here, not down here. You say, well, this food just doesn't, it's not very sweet. Well, so you can prepare it to a certain degree to sweeten up, like steaming it and stuff like that. Steam your potatoes instead of eating them raw. If you eat a raw potato, it's okay as long as you leave it in your mouth until it's sweet. All right? Because if you don't deal with it up here, then you're going to have to deal with it down here, and it causes the pancreas to overreact. All right? So it's very important to chew your foods so that the brain can analyze it and tell the body what to do as it relates to carbohydrates and starches and grains and things like that. So that's very, very important. And remember, it needs to be liquid before it goes down. If it's not liquid already. If it's liquid already, then chew it still. Like your juices, chew it. Your fruit juices, chew them. Leave them in that mouth a long time. Don't just go. You see, all that sugar, carbohydrates are going to go down that stomach, and then the pancreas is going to just really overshoot the insulin in the blood to try to compensate. And you're going to have some fluctuations eventually coming from that abuse of your body. Okay? So chewing it and preparing your foods right is very important. Now, before I go into that a little bit more, let me mention one other thing that you need to consider as it relates to these sugar fluctuations. Your adrenals have other functions besides regulating your sugar as far as keeping it from going low. So anything that fatigues your adrenals is going to lead to a sugar problem. So what are your other functions of your adrenals? Well, they help you handle stress, right? You ever heard of adrenaline? When do you need adrenaline? None of you never heard of when you need adrenaline? Yeah, when you're going to run or fight, right? You're going to run or going to fight something. the old adrenaline gets going. Exercise gets the old adrenaline going too, some types of exercises. Competitive sports. Watch a lot of TV with all this crime and stuff like that. That'll get your adrenaline going. Okay? Anything gets your adrenaline going makes your adrenals have to work. And if they get tired, they're not going to work with the pancreas to keep the sugar from fluctuating, causing these symptoms and stuff. All right? So the adrenals need rest. So you should be in bed at 10 tonight. That's when they start recharging. All right? That's important. Some of you know. And you can't eat late, can't be having food in your stomach when you go to bed tonight. Because then your adrenals won't rest up. Then they get tired. Stress tires them out. Worry tires them out. Unforgiveness tires them out. All right? Lack of good type of exercise and breathing wears them out. So the adrenals need to stay healthy in order for your sugar not to go too low. So what do people do when they have low blood sugar? What's the tendency? Because you're craving and you're hungry all the time and cold. What do you want to do to get that sugar back up? What kind of diets do the doctors and others put you on when you have low blood sugar or hypoglycemia? High protein, which is very acid. See, high protein is very acid. They put you on these protein drinks and these weight loss. You know, I lost all these pounds, and all I had was this shake 2 times a day and a sensible meal at night. See, with this little drink is high in protein. It's very acid, very stimulating to the adrenals. So it gives the adrenals a kick so you feel good. But you're running the adrenals down by doing that, and eventually that won't work. And the only weight you're losing is water weight. And you're just stuffing all the bad guys somewhere in your organs and glands. So that's not good. All right? That's just manipulating the body rather than dealing and cooperating with it and giving it what it needs. So that's what a lot of people do. Now, a lot of doctors will put people on insulin not because the sugar's high and it's diabetic. They're diabetic because most doctors don't admit to there being a low blood sugar at all. You'll find that the majority of them don't even believe that there is hypoglycemia. But if the sugars, but a lot of times they'll put people on insulin because it's fluctuating so much, so they put them on insulin to shut down the pancreas so it won't produce it at all. Then they can regulate it better. So a lot of people that are on insulin, they're on insulin because they have fluctuating blood sugar. And if they don't give them enough insulin to completely shut down their pancreas, then they can't regulate it. And they give them just a little bit and it goes too low all the time. They have insulin reactions. So those are some of the things that we need to understand why they are doing certain things a certain way. All right? So if you take insulin, you know where insulin comes from if they get it for you and give it to you intravenously. Most of it comes from pig, swine, pancreas, swine pancreas. Well, those pigs really use a lot of insulin because of what they eat. Oh, that's why you get fat, That's what insulin does. When you take insulin, it's one of the most dangerous drugs that you can put in your body because insulin robs your vitamin A, and it robs your potassium. It causes you to gain weight and causes you to have poor circulation, particularly in the eyes and the feet. That's why people on insulin have eye problems eventually. And their liver breaks down because it needs vitamin E is needed by your liver. So it's not good. It's not uncomfortable to have insulin shots to begin with, right? And who wants to be picked? You know. And also, you need to understand when they check your sugar, they're only checking for glucose, which is only one of the 5 sugars in your body. So you could be high in glucose and low in the others and still be okay. Or you could be okay on glucose but be high in these others and still have diabetes and they never catch it because they're only checking that one sugar. So again, what we want to do is stay away from diagnosing things. You know what diagnosis means in the dictionary? It means an educated guess based on experience. That's what diagnosis means. That's why I can't diagnose you. I have to have a license to guess. And you ever notice it's practice? Medicine is practice. Practice medicine. Do you know of anybody that stopped practicing and are doing it? Do you know of anybody? It's the practice. It never stops. It's always practicing. See, if you listen to the terminology, you'll figure it out real easy. They're not trying to lie to you. When they say it's a diagnosis, if you look up in the dictionary what it means, well, can you be sure about that? Sure is a diagnosis, I'm sure. It's my best guess based on my experience. See, what we need to do is we need to learn how our Creator made these bodies and learn how to work with them, cooperate with them, and support them. That's our job. Our Creator's supposed to take care of everything else and has taken care of everything else. We just got to quit interfering with it, right? That's what we need to be working on and dealing with our fears. You know, we got this idea that diabetes is attacking me. Well, diabetes is just a name. Hypoglycemia is coming after me and it's going to hypo me or something. Here comes hypo. It's going to make my sugar go down. Ooh, what am I going to do? Ah. You know? See, it's not something coming after you. It's an imbalance in your body chemistry, and these are just symptoms. This is just the way your body's talking to you about the problem. And we got to learn how to interpret what it's saying and listen to what it's saying. Okay? So, so there's a lot of methods that we use, and in the health field, we're doing a lot of the same old thing of manipulating the body because of hypoglycemia. In the health field, we're using other things like high amounts of vitamin C, ascorbic acid, see, high B vitamins, hydrochloric. See, all your B vitamins have a HCl on the end of it, which means it's acid. See, all these stimulate the adrenals, and then the adrenals keep the pancreas from overshooting the insulin so the sugar stays up higher. So you feel better. But what are you going to do when that B vitamin wears out your adrenals and it can't do it anymore, can't be kicked anymore? Then what are you going to do? Got to get something stronger.